These are the 3 winners of the Diamond Pass Royale giveaway. Just DM me on Twitter a screenshot exactly like this one showing your YouTube account. Stay tuned everyone, I will be doing more of these giveaways in the near future. Today I'll be giving an insight and analysis on my best Clash Royale League games from this morning. Unfortunately I couldn't commentate it live, I just didn't have the proper setup while I was playing. But I feel like this might be even better just to give you guys my full thoughts and also try to help you guys become better players too. So the first deck I had was Royal Hog's Fireball Bait up against Pedro. He wasted the bomb tower the match before, so I was having a pretty good feeling about this deck. When I saw the Golden Knight, I already knew for sure it would be either Graveyard or E-Giant. Then when I saw the Bowler 2, knew it had to be Graveyard Freeze, which is actually a pretty bad matchup for this deck, so I knew I had to make some really aggressive early plays or some good outplays. He had no Bowler here, so really good Royal Hogs. I didn't even want to defend the Golden Knight at all. I went in for the arrows here, just trying to get a bit of Flying Machine ship damage. Did kind of work out. Golden Knight didn't even do too much on the right side. Already a really good start for us in a pretty difficult matchup. In difficult matchups like these, it's really important that you get a nice start to have a chance to win still. Pretty much all of our stuff gets hard countered by Bowler, except the Flying Machine, so I knew I had to use the Flying Machine as best as possible. Didn't want to just cycle it for no reason or anything. Wanted to mainly use it on his bowlers. I don't know why he was calling the early good game when he has a hard counter. This type of matchup is not too bad in single elixir, but in double and triple elixir it's pretty much impossible. Someone like Mohamed Light would probably win this matchup on Graveyard side pretty much every time. I knew he couldn't really go in or do too much, so I just played my Evo Barb split, trying to just defend and maybe stack up a Flying Machine before trying to make another push. Had the Flying Machine here, pretty much our only way to kill the baby dragon. Also really good heal Tiny, forcing out the Tornado. Pretty bad Tornado to be honest with you. I went in for the Royal Hogs here, just had to make sure we applied good pressure on both sides. The Evo Barb got to the tower and forced out the defensive freeze. I knew he couldn't even go in for a Graveyard since he had no freeze in cycle and we had our Barbarians in hand. No Evo Barbs though, but they're still quite good even when they're not evolved. I was waiting for a second for him to Tornado, and luckily he did, so really good delayed Flying Machine. You guys might be kind of interested as to why I was playing a deck like this Fireball Bait, which I'm not really known for. I'm much more known for cycle decks. Well, the thing is, when you're a CRL player, you just have to be ready to play pretty much any deck in the game to the highest level to be good enough to perform well. I was practicing for hours the night before CRL, and also I do practice every so often. And mainly I play a lot on ladders, so that's really where I get most of my practice for different decks. Really bad Golden Knight ability by Pedro. I went in for the split Royal Hogs, didn't want to get too aggressive and start trying to go all same lane, because I know the Bowler really just wrecks everything. He kind of messed up there a bit. Flying Machine just isn't dying. Well, it did end up dying, just barely, but still a really good spot for us. You guys can just see how much value the Flying Machines are bringing in this matchup. One really important thing while you're playing intense matches like the matches in Clash Royale League, you have to be so careful not to overcommit and not to rush things especially. One of the biggest mistakes is that people, often when they're close to winning a match, they just go super aggressive, and it can really cost them sometimes. You can lose really important matches from just getting too ahead of yourself instead of playing it safe and taking the easy win. And yeah, Pedro's pretty much, yeah, just dead at this point. I just knew I had to cycle a couple fireballs. At first I was thinking arrows would do enough to take out his tower, but I realized that they kind of changed the spell damages quite a bit, so I knew I had to defend the Graveyard here. Wasn't really too worried. We had our Goblin Cage down and everything. Just arrows done defense and got a pretty easy win in a pretty difficult matchup. Really well played by us. Then I found myself up against a surfboard. I didn't even know surfboards play Clash Royale. Bit of an unfortunate match because we both do have the same coach helping us to pick the best decks possible for each match, but since it's the same coach for both of us, the coach just said, hey, you're on your own, you guys both have to pick your own decks. So I decided to go in for Hog Rider Earthquake. Pretty predictable, I know, but I'm so good with it that I can pretty much outplay nearly any matchup unless it's a complete hard counter. Even then I have a chance, I feel like. And Air Surfer for some reason did also decide to go in for Hog Earthquake, but he had the Monk, which makes it quite a bit better for him. Monk is so broken in the Hog EQ mirror matchup. Was hoping our queen would stay alive, but he decided to die for no reason. I don't know why. Then I saw the mortar, just went in for the Hog Rider opposite lane. Didn't want to waste a bomb tower or anything. Got a really good pre-log. I knew he either had goblins or skeletons in his deck. Then just got the earthquake down on the mortar, forcing out the log too. Thought it would be no damage from the mortar, but of course it got the 1 HP shot. I feel like there's so many cards in Clash Royale that always get that 1 HP shot for no reason, like the mortar, RG, Hog Rider, even queen sometimes. Was feeling pretty good going opposite lane though. I had the Hog Rider emote, which kind of helped me feel a bit more confident in my abilities. I just wanted to get to my Evo Knight pretty quickly. Evo Knight is the kind of one good thing about this matchup. It pretty much acts like a monk, just doesn't reflect, which is a bit of a problem, but it's still quite a good card. Just tanks forever. Went for the early log before he could monk ability, which was really good. And then I just went for the kind of late queen. Did go on the monk, but only took 1 reflection shot. Just got to my Evo Knight and spammed it at the bridge like a high skill player. Pretty bad Hog Rider by him. Only took 1 hit, got a pretty quick log on his goblins. I thought he was dead here, just went for the queen ability, but unfortunately double elixir kind of saved him. I still went in for the Hog Rider, just having the Evo Knight tanking a bit. I knew he'd have to play something on the Hog Rider still. I guess another nice thing about the matchup is that he does have mortar. And Bob Tower is a bit better in the mirror matchup for sure. You never have to spend anything more than a bomb tower against a Hog Earthquake push, unless they support it with a monk or something. But I still thought it was a pretty good matchup for him. Just wasn't sure if we could get a good Evo Knight or not. I went in for the Hog Rider. We got him to kind of go opposite lanes, so he couldn't really stop our Hog EQ pushes too easily. Evo Mortar is a bit scary, but we managed it pretty well. I was kind of scared we just died. Went in for the Knight way up high, goblins for his Hog Rider. Didn't want to waste the bomb tower, but he did catch our goblins with the pre-log. Had to log this all away. Was kind of scared he would try to go in the same lane. Went in for the Evo Knight. It pretty much forces out the monk when you play the Evo Knight. Went in for the queen ability. He wasted the monk on the queen, so I just went for the Hog Rider. Went in for the Hog Rider. And yeah, he died. He died. The surfboard died. Went in for the pre-log on the goblins, and I knew it was over. You just can't stop Evo Knight without a mini tank like a monk in Cyclone. He wasted it on the left side, so that was over. Good game. And I had to get through Pompeo, one of the best balloon players. I decided to run Hog Earthquake, but this time with quite a few air counters. When I saw the cage, I already knew he was running balloon. I went in for the aggressive snowball, just trying to get some early damage. Didn't really care too much about defense. I knew we had pretty solid defense. Thought we would be all good here with the Inferno Tower, but Pompeo, being really good with balloon, knew he could be pretty aggressive and did get the balloon hit. I wanted to punish him a bit, so I decided to go for the gentleman in front, but the gentleman decided to be a scaredy cat and go behind the queen. I just popped the ability to get the knight in front. Knew he would Mega Minion here. I saw his deck on his RoyaleApi before this match, so I was already ready for what he was running. And I decided to knight the tower and queened the tower quite a bit. Really good start, really good punish. I don't even blame Pompeo too much though for being so aggressive, because in matchups like these you kind of have to be super aggressive when you're the person who doesn't have the favorable matchup. Otherwise, if you play the slow game, you kind of just lose either way. I knew he had pretty much nothing for the guards in cycle. Forced out his defensive monitor, always a good sign. I decided to go in for the Hog Rider. Was hoping the guards would kill the monitor, but they just barely didn't. I didn't want to Earthquake nothing, otherwise I knew he would try to go for the cage setup and we couldn't really kill it for quite some time. Went in for the queen here too. My game plan was just to try to queen for the Mega Minion and Inferno Dragon most of the time, and then Inferno Tower for every balloon. Also the snowball is so nice. With this Fire Spirit I tried to force out the early Knight, which I did pretty well. Then I just popped the queen ability and I knew that he would have to still respond to it, otherwise it would get 1 or 2 hits on the tower. You really just have to predict what your opponent is going to do when you're playing a deck like me. Hog Earthquake. I pretty much knew what he would do all the time in advance. Like 2 plays in advance, I knew what he was going to do already. I was going to snowball, but the knight got kind of pulled by the cage. Unfortunately, not quite far enough because of the miner. But look at the Hog Rider. It just somehow snuck through and got quite good damage. Felt kind of bad for Pompeo. Just started to cycle the Earthquakes. Knew he needed like just 2 more after that. There's no point to even Queen ability against Evo Knight unless it's already attacking something, otherwise the Queen ability pretty much does nothing. I knew he would try to go for the Mana on the Inferno Tower and kill it quickly, that's what he always does, so I was ready for it. Got the nice catch. Went in for the Snowball and didn't even have to waste my Queen. I just Earthquaked. Was trying to get back to my Earthquake Snowball, which does do enough damage to take out his tower. Probably could have snowballed, but just wanted to play it safe with the Inferno Tower. The only way he can win is with a really good Evo Knight in this matchup, so yeah, pretty nice win, pretty good deck pick by me and my coach. Then I encountered a Tribesman. I decided to play Ram Rider Bridge Spam. I knew he wouldn't be expecting it since I hadn't played it all day, so thought I might get a nice matchup. This deck does pretty well against Beatdown, especially. It is also really important to be unpredictable in stuff like CRL, so you don't get sniped too often by your opponents. At this point I already knew he was running Mortar Bait. Cannon Cart got kind of close to our tower, but just barely. Was able to stop it nicely. Didn't want to waste the Fireball or anything, just went in for the Knight, just to get to our Evo Knight soon enough as well. We have Evo Knight instead of a Monk or something in this deck. I feel like it does work quite well. Kind of just gives you that nice cheap tank, but it can also tank super well like a Monk can when you have the Evo Knight. Kind of wanted to Magic Archer, but I decided to be a bit more passive. I feel like a lot of players would Magic Archer on the Skelly King, but you can't be too aggressive, otherwise you can really just get wrecked in CRL, especially when your opponents know exactly how to punish you as effectively as possible. We've all been practicing for quite some time for this CRL, so all the players are at the top of their level. Cycled the Knight so we could get to our Evo Knight up next. Was hoping the Knight would tank the Spear Goblins. Sometimes the Spear Goblins move kind of funny, but just barely was able to get them to line up kind of nicely. I was waiting for him to play his Mortar. He decided not to really play it much in single Elixir. You never really want to Ram Rider too early. Yeah, so then he pulled up his Mortar. I knew the Ram Rider would do a pretty good job. Went in for the heals Tiny just to tank a little bit and block the Cannon Cart. Honestly, could have waited a bit on the Evo Knight. I thought his Mortar would get one more shot or something, or he would like overcommit a bit on the Ram Rider, but he decided not to, so wasn't too good, but not too bad either. I went in for the high Magic Archer just to try to force out his Fireball or something. Evo Knight was going crazy, man. And I could see he couldn't really kill our Inferno Dragon too well. He had Skeleton Dragons, but we have Fireball. So yeah, just Fireballed them away pretty easily. Kind of wanted to Magic Archer here and was about to until that gang came down. I was pretty scared at this point because I knew he would get to his Evo Mortar as his next Mortar, so wanted to be quite careful when defending to not overcommit or something. Decided to Fireball. Wanted to make sure I didn't miss the Mortar, but ended up making me miss a Skeleton Dragon. Went in for the Lumberjack. I knew the Lumberjack Rage would kill pretty much all the Spear Goblins. The Lumberjack Rage is actually really important now to use it against stuff like Skeletons, Bats, all of that, since it kills them now. Couldn't really get too much damage, but he couldn't really do too much either. He played the Evo Mortar. I just Ram Ridered. Was gonna Magic Archer, but didn't want to be too aggressive. Once again, just heal Tinied. Also known as Baseball Tiny. Got a perfect defense. Unfortunately, the Evo Knight went to the left side, but just Inferno Dragoned in. The Evo Knight pretty much takes no damage from the Cannon Cart, unless it's attacking it, so was fine. Went in for the Ram Rider and Lumberjack. I knew this Evo Knight would just tank for ages, so wasn't really too worried about overcommitting or anything. And man, look at our stuff go. I even played the aggressive Magic Archer. Got the one Ram Rider hit. I don't know what even happened, man. I don't know how that happens. I just decided to spam him after that and make him pay for missing that Fireball. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about that. I think I probably would have won either way. Anyways, good game. So I was up 1-0 against Wallace. Just needed one more win against him to finish out the duel. Decided to Golden Knight the back. Had a pretty heavy drill bridge spam deck. Didn't really want to make the first move, but kind of had to. Decided to just E-Wiz up high. When I saw the baby dragon, I knew it would probably be some type of graveyard deck. He's a pretty good graveyard player. Wasn't sure if he'd have Splash Yard or the heavier bowler version. When I saw the Tombstone though, I was pretty sure it was the classic Splash Yard deck. Not even sure how this matchup is, but I was a little bit worried at the time. He's been playing Splash Yard for a very long time, and I haven't been playing Drill Bridge spam too much, except in practice a few times. I went in for the Tornado just to kill the Ice Mage and get a bit of damage onto his Knight too. Went in for the aggressive Skeleton Dragons. Unfortunately got them splashed a little bit, but wasn't really the best Tornado by him, so got away with stuff pretty well. Just had to play it pretty slow. The only way to really win this matchup is by getting a really good Executioner lineup, so kind of just was trying to play it slow and maybe get a nice big push later. I knew our Evo Barbs could also do something crazy if we ever got him in a bad cycle or low elixir. Was playing it pretty slow. They can't really go in for the graveyard unless you mess up your cycle quite a bit, because the Evo Barbs just destroy graveyard, and also Skeleton Dragons do a pretty good job. Wasn't really the best Barbro, got kind of wrecked by our Executioner, so I just decided to go in with our stuff here, then Barbs the other lane. Quite good timing on the Barbs, and Goblin Drill got a tiny bit of chip damage. Got a super good Executioner lineup, but I was kind of scared here. We had our Evo Barbs coming down, but I knew he would try to probably graveyard, and he did. Went in for the Skelly Drag's Ghost to tank for the Knight a bit, but Baby Dragon was on our tower. Luckily a bit of a late poison, so kind of got away with a bit of a risky situation. I decided to go in for the Golden Knight. You pretty much never want a naked Goblin Drill in this matchup. You always want to at least have some support for it, otherwise you're pretty much just giving them a free positive elixir trade with a Barbarian Barrel or a Knight or something. Went in for the Drill here, was hoping we could get a nice Drill Tornado with our Golden Knight. Yeah, he played his Knight, so I got the nice Tornado and really good Golden Knight dash. Nice Executioner shot too. It's always good to go opposite lane in this matchup, just because if you go same lane, they pretty much poison you out really quickly. Went in for the Drill just so we couldn't make too big of a graveyard push, at least I was hoping. Went in for the E was kind of up high, Barb slow, making sure to space them out so we couldn't poison everything. He got a bit of RNG chip damage, but really not much at all. It's always good to play your Barbs often to get to those Evo ones. Had to go in for the Executioner just to kill the Baby Dragon and block up the right side for some time. Went in for the Drill, kind of off to the side in case he tried to Prediction Knight the front. Really good Executioner on the Tombstone. I knew he was in trouble here, but the Ice Mage just barely stayed alive, so yeah, he kind of got away with it, but we got a bit of damage with our Drill. Got some pretty nice split Evo Barbs, making sure he can't graveyard, or couldn't graveyard for some time. Pretty aggressive poison. Once I saw the poison, I knew we could just go really aggressive with our stuff. He decided to graveyard, but he had no poison in cycle, so our Skeleton Dragons cleared it up pretty nicely. You guys can see how, I don't know, kind of just methodical you have to be. And look at that Nado, man. And XD got on tower. I was so satisfied, man. It was so satisfying watching that lineup. And yeah, I knew that that was it. And I went 10-0. Kind of crazy to think about that I'm the third player ever to go 10-0 in one of these brackets in CRL this year. I'm now top 32, so I'll be going for that top 8 and hopefully getting enough points to go to World Finals. Maybe I can even win the golden ticket. I'll let you guys know how it goes. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye!